Hi everyone, we're here with the second installment on Gian's story behind Earthhaven. In the previous installment, we'll put a link in the description to the first part. Gian shared about how he grew up in South Africa during the time of transition from apartheid to whatever you would call South Africa is in now.
Democracy.
um, so in there he shared how he went to New Zealand for a couple of months when he was 3 years old,
For
4 years old, and that didn't work out, and his family was forced back to move to South Africa with diminished financial means. So now we are in the small town of Denisville,
the
correct?
Niceville, yeah.
And Gian is going to share with us what his childhood looked like there. What did he spend his time on?
So I may first share what's the Niceville. The Niceville is a small little town of 600 residents, and it's right next to a big dam. It's called a fall dam. So with my childhood, living far away from the main cities, I had no option but to mainly stay home and play with my toys, which I also didn't have too much of due to us coming from New Zealand with diminished financial support. And my dad obviously do what a dad does, grinding it down to make money and to make sure we have resources in a house and food, etc. So yeah, for the first few years after coming from New Zealand, I used to sleep on a blow-up bed. I remember waking up some mornings and the blow-up bed would be flat, where your back will be laying on the floor because the bed just deflates by itself, and then you have to pump it up. And yeah, that's how we lived for a while. Luckily, we had a house coming back. But with the situation, with the circumstances, I was gifted with nature because most of my time I wanted to play outside. Most of my time I wanted to be in the garden. I wanted to be with the trees. I wanted to be with the grass, with the mud, with the water. And from the age of 4 until 8, I discovered a gift that I had, and that was to actually communicate with animals.
Can
So
you share like how you in a way discovered this, or was it
yeah,
always something that you knew you
uh,
had, or
it
how did
started
that
with
open up?
spiders. We had black widows. We had what they call knoopie spinnekoppen. I don't know how to call that in
Button spider.
button spiders. And I realized I was playing with the spiders, but they were actually talking to me. Well, it's not talking like how we talk. It's a physical, instant communication, like how Layla does her life integration. It's a muscle testing what people do in this world. But as a child, I had this naturally, and I just felt very much attracted to animals, and not pets. For some reason, pets didn't have this effective communication, which was more raw, real, direct, very direct. And that's what I experienced with wild animals. So I started playing with spiders in the yard, and they're making webs in my hand. And then I will make them do things because we're communicating. So I'll ask the spider to, make a web in my hand, and then to see how he's like a yo-yo go up and down. But then I'll put them back. I won't kill them, I won't hurt them or things like that. And I remember my dad used to find scorpions, or when there is a scorpion that he finds, he will kill it. So I would go out into the yard. This was about 6 years old, and I will find scorpions and I'll pick them up and I'll take them away. I'll go put them in a field. We had a field right next to our house. Without them biting me, without them stinging me, I just put my hand down and they would crawl up because we were communicating. And I also played with wild snakes. Now, how I did this was between the age of 6 and 7. I would go to the yard. We had a pretty big yard. That's one thing that I was also very happy about. And besides the yard, we had fields next to us. So I spent a lot of time in the fields. And with the snakes, it was interesting because we'll play games before I could catch them, which wasn't even catching, it was just like picking them up. And they won't bite me, they won't fight me, and I could do with them what I want. And this was interesting because I played with a lot of snakes, and I think I only showed my parents once the snakes I caught. or I told them I had snakes in a bucket and they didn't believe me. But I knew that the animals asked me to not expose it to the adults or other people, because there is a relationship between nature, wild nature, like spiders, scorpions, snakes, and all the other bugs, that people want to kill them. People don't like them. People don't want them. So there's a very big disconnect between the adults and the system of this world and nature. And I had that communication with animals where they would, it's like just knowing to not share this with the adults. And I did share this once with my grandfather, and he got crazy because I was playing with a button spider, and I went to him all in excitement, saying, "Look what I'm doing!" And that's when he
And
freaked
just to
out.
clarify, like button spiders are highly venomous.
Yeah, highly venomous. All the snakes and animals I played with was venomous, mildly venomous, highly venomous. For example, one snake I connected a very good relationship with was a tree snake. Now, a tree snake is very poisonous, and me and this snake would meet up in an apple tree. Weird. It sounds like an Adam and Eve story. So I would go meet the tree snake in the apple tree, and he'll come down the apple tree, come to my face, and I will take him with my hand, and I'll put him in this green bucket I had, and I'll carry him around. And on one particular day, I saw another black snake. So I left the tree snake in the bucket. He didn't climb out. He didn't go out because I told him I'm coming back. And I chased after this black snake. And the black snake was laughing, or not even laughing, but he was having fun with me chasing him. Now I'm 7 years old. I'm in my underwear only, and I look like a little Tarzan. And I'm dirty, full of mud. And I'm going through, and he goes into this bricks. Like there's these bricks behind our house, a little outside house. And I start digging through the bricks, and I see the snake going in, and I grab him. And I take him out, and I look at him, and I put him in the bucket with the tree snake. Now I have no idea what this snake is, but he was black. It was about 70 centimeters in length. He was almost my length at the age of 7. And both of them were sitting in there and just chilling. Now, to me, this was completely normal, what I was doing. I didn't see this as anything else. But the more I interacted with adults and sharing my point, the more the fear came up of death and just fear in general. And because of all the warnings people are giving me, my grandfather specifically, with watch out for the snakes, watch out for the spiders, they can kill you, one bite and you're dead. You know, a lot of fear instilling, because my grandparents lived with us for 2 years at some point. And that's why he had such an influence on me, my grandfather. And yeah, we had spiders in the house, and it was always about killing the bugs, killing the animals, because they're dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. And as I got older and my vocabulary got better, my understanding, my speaking, everything got better, I started giving into the fear. I started accepting, allowing the fear. And the animals stopped coming to me. Because when I used to go out into the bush, they would come to me. For example, when I would go into the fields next to our house, there was little deer, they call them duikers in South Africa. And they literally walk up to me and, be with me while I'm in the field. And all of this started stopping because I changed something inside of myself at that age. And I started focusing more on people stuff. Now, this doesn't stop for birds, because all through my life, animals would come to me, like birds specifically, that was injured. And when I was in grade 1, many times at school, birds will fly up to me on the ground. They can't fly high because they have an injured wing or injured leg. And I'll pick them up and I'll take them home and I'll care for them. And my mom actually got she got to care for all that birds with me, because I was only 7-8 years old, so I couldn't care for them or didn't know what to do or how to help them with human technology. So the best I could do was put them in a cage, give them some food and water, and hope they make it. And I was a very sensitive kid as well, so every time I find a bird dead or I see they didn't make it, I would cry my eyes out. I would be so sad. And my mom, I believe, got very tired of this because it happened so often that I had to take care of injured birds or animals that I picked up or brought home. So that kind of sticked with me. And if we jump further ahead, even on Destiny Farm, where I started living when I was 18, even their animals would come to us and do the same thing. And that's where I was kind of reminded again when I was between the age of 18 that holy shit, now I remember my past again. And with Bernard, obviously, he reminded me of my gift, and I have to look at it because I kind of suppressed it and denied it and didn't want to look at it. But I always had a love for nature and for animals. I had a deep connection with them. But for, I would say, since I was 13 up until 18, I suppressed it completely because I was going into the system, I was going into my teenage years, I was going into all the other things in life. And so with that, that love always stayed within me, but I didn't act on it. Even though I could see the suffering, I could see the pain, I could see the destruction of nature, and I always had a deep pain within me for it happening, but never took action. And going to the Destiny Farm, it kind of reignited all of that for me, kind of brought that spark back. And I realized where I have to go back to, which is my roots, which is my gift that I had as a child. And yeah, to drop fear. That's essentially where I'm at now, is how do I stop the fear because I accept and allowed fear, and to get back to communicating with animals. Now, I still have a very comfortable presence around animals like snakes and lizards and everything I had to catch on the farm. They wouldn't necessarily bite me or hurt me, or but they will show defensiveness, which they didn't show as a child. And as a child, there was like a playfulness.
Like it's almost like there was that connection where they were drawn to you, and then that stopped the more you accumulated fear.
Yeah,
But it's like you still had that signature because in moments of emergency, it's like the birds would still
yeah,
find you.
yeah. It's like I'm the only option,
Yeah.
or was the only option, out of the hundreds of people around you. But yeah, so that was my childhood growing up. Was mainly animals outside playing. I didn't have too much parental influence, which is good and not so good, but it is good for that gift, for that expression point that I could play out. So there wasn't that many like controlling that much input from parents, not considering, because if my parents was focused on me a lot more like other kids parents are like, learn, 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 educate, educate, educate. There's no space for what's naturally here to come out, and I was given that space. And yeah, so that's kind of what I want to bring into Earth Haven as my personal point, is how can I reignite my gift, and I still do have my gift to a degree, and teach other people, show other people the wild side of life.
Because it's also not so much about relearning how to communicate with animals, right? It's more that you have to be a certain person and you have to be in alignment with life in a certain way that allows that to
Yes.
open up.
Yeah, you have to stop fear. Essentially, you just have to work on yourself, and then animals is a good cross reference. Wild animals specifically, who you are in the bush, how you are, and how things work with you there as your presence. So it's not about like going out and trying to communicate with an animal. It's to change your presence. It's to be here in the presence of what's here.
Which also includes yourself.
It includes yourself, yeah. And to drop the adultness of our minds so that we can become children again. But also, don't be stupid now and go and pick up snakes, because there is a resonant point. Like as a kid, the animals asked me not to tell the adults, you know, because the animal do not want to fight humans. They don't want to bite humans. They don't want to kill humans. They don't want to give their life away defending themselves against something that's bigger, stronger, that's more violent than them. Yet they do that because they have no choice in the presence of the humans, and how the human has evolved into this killing machine over time. So the animals are innocent in this, and the human has literally forced them to become what they are. And as my experience as a child, I know that that's not who they are because of my experience and how I lived with them.
It's like humans used to be part of nature, but then they became this like autoimmune
Yeah,
attack
we become a
onto
virus,
itself.
and the animals had to kind of quarantine themselves from us.
Yeah.
And then every time we come close, we're like a virus they have to fight.
So yeah, it's just also a disclaimer: don't go outside and look for
Yeah,
poisonous snakes and stuff to play with.
because things have also changed through time. Animals have started taking more a direct approach, so they might sting you even though you have no reaction to them. They might bite you because it's now enough, you know. We've done this for far too long. But anyway, that's my nature connection that I had and still have, and why I want to create an environment such as Earth Haven for myself and others, so that
All get back
we all get back. Yeah.
into alignment. Thank you, Gian, for sharing. We
Yeah.
will do our next installment soon. Very curious to see what else opens up.
Yeah. Thank you, Leila.